So forehand drop is really easy, really simple. Try not to make it too complicated for yourself, especially if you're a beginner. And even if you're advanced, you should still use this technique or way of dropping the ball that I'm going to show you, because you can use it in a way that it can be deceptive. It can be easy to read, but it can also be deceptive. And being easy to read means that your opponent is going to read it, but then you can alter it as you go through the swing. So all we're going to do is hold our racket down, arms straight, just straight down behind our back leg, and all you're going to do is just push it slightly forward. Keep your arms straight, so it's just basically a pendulum motion, and you're going to make sure that shoulder's dropped in that socket as well. And if you drop that shoulder down, it means that when you push forward, your racket face is going to be going slightly up, and we want to push the ball up and in. And just do this to begin with. Try not to cut the ball until you've mastered this, so that you're just pushing the ball in and then add some cut. The great thing about this technique is that, especially if you're a beginner, I see a lot of beginners, when they drop, they hit the ball way too hard. They're trying to keep their racket up, they're trying to create racket speed, but it just never really works, and the ball ends up coming about a quarter of the way back down the court, and pretty much 9 times out of 10 their opponent knows they're going to drop, even though they're trying to hide it anyway. So you might as well just show them the drop, push the ball as short in as possible and get it nice and tight. And if you can just do that super basic technique of just pushing the ball in, you'll find that you'll push your opponent forward more, and they'll struggle more in the front than they would have if you tried to create too much racket speed and the ball comes back too far. So from that point of that super easy swing of just pushing the ball in, you can hold your racket up a bit more, drop your hand down, then push it forwards, but make sure you got that other technique mastered first. And then, if you want, you can use that same technique, and as you're pushing your racket forward, pull your wrist around to flick it cross court. So you could start off your game doing a couple of drives, or even on the first one that comes up, your first drop that comes up that's super easy, and you've got your opponent up there behind you, pretend like you're going forwards and then flick it cross court. And then from that point on, your opponent knows that he can't leave that tee until you've hit the ball. So even if you do push the ball in nice and easy, it's not going to be as predictable, because they know that you can flick it cross court, and it's going to put them under pressure. So let's give that one a go. So also remember, from that position of keeping your arms straight, you're really going to bring your opponent forwards, and you're trying to push them right into that corner, or you're trying to pretend that you're pushing them into that corner, and then you're going to flick them across court. Another thing that you can also do is lift it up over the head. So instead of going short or cross court, come through and then flick the racket up so it goes back over their head. Right, so remember that even though you've got your arm down and your racket is really low, and you're pushing that ball in there really softly, and you're going to create a better drop, and it's going to be tighter and easier to control. So you're going to make less mistakes than trying to create this big swing. And then you can add those other things in, so it can be a little bit more deceptive, and it's not so easy to read, and they're not just going to run straight in and pick up your drop every time, because they know they have to hang back a little bit more for the lob, and they have to hang back a little bit, because if they start coming in, you could flick it cross court. So give that a go and see how you get on.